The evening sky over Helios 3 glowed purple and gold, the twin moons slowly rising over the quiet colony plains. Wind moved through the tall silvergrass, making it sway like waves of a soft ocean across the valley. Captain Rian Hale walked the familiar night path behind the settlement, the same path he had taken every evening since the war ended. The peaceful scene should have comforted him, but tonight, he felt something heavy in the air. Ever since the arrival of Lady Syra Velerin, the mysterious alien widow who had taken refuge among the humans, the atmosphere of the colony had changed. Not in a loud or dangerous way. It was quieter, like the air held secrets no one understood yet. Syra was different from the other alien travelers who passed through the fringe colonies. She did not speak much. She did not trade, bargain, or teach. She spent most of her time watching the stars, standing alone on the high observation hill. Her long silver hair would flow behind her like drifting moonlight, and her deep silver eyes would look at the sky as if searching for something. Or someone. Ryan did not know why, but he could not ignore her. There was a gravity about her, a story not spoken but always present. Tonight, as he climbed the hill, he expected to find Syra standing the way she always did, silent, calm, distant. But instead, she was kneeling in the tall grass beside a glowing silver device half hidden in the soil. The device pulsed faintly like it was breathing. Rian froze for a moment. Syra did not turn around, but she spoke softly without surprise. "You followed me again." Ryan stepped closer, his boots pressing through the grass. "I patrol this area," he replied. "It's my job to make sure the colony is safe." "That is only partly true," she said, still not looking at him. Rian did not argue. He couldn't. She always saw more than he said. He knelt beside her, examining the device. It was smooth, metallic, shaped like a teardrop and etched with patterns that shifted like they were alive. No human metal looked like that. No human technology glowed like that. "What is this?" Ryan asked. Syra's voice trembled just a little. "A memory." Before Ryan could ask anything else, the device pulsed again, brighter this time, and suddenly a beam of shimmering white light shot upward into the sky. It rose fast like a spear of starlight, piercing the atmosphere and scattering into a pattern among the stars. Ryan instinctively reached for his sidearm. Syra finally stood, her silver hair catching the moonlight, her face pale, not with fear, but with grief. "They have found me," she whispered. The words settled heavily between them. Rian straightened. "Who?" Syra closed her eyes, her voice low and shaking. "The ones who destroyed my home. The ones who killed my husband. The ones who erased my people." Ryan's heartbeat quickened. He remembered the stories the colonists whispered. How Syra was the widow of a high noble from a powerful starborn empire. How her empire fell. How she survived when no one else did. Thunder rumbled in the far distance, not from storms, but from something traveling high in orbit. Ryan stepped closer to her. "We need to warn the colony." Syra gave a slow nod. They began walking back toward the settlement, the beams of light in the sky slowly fading, leaving only a lingering shimmer among the stars. Ryan kept his pace steady beside her, but his thoughts were racing. "Who exactly is coming?" he asked. Syra's steps slowed. She looked at the ground as if the memories hurt to speak. "They call themselves the Praetorian warlord clans," she said softly. "They rose from the ashes of the empire that once ruled thousands of worlds. They do not expand for land or wealth. They destroy all who may challenge their rule." She took a slow breath as if steadying her heart. "My husband was a noble of the Veliran Star Throne, the last dynasty that tried to hold peace. When the warlords rose, they executed him and every member of our house. They believed I died with them." Her voice cracked, just barely. "I ran. And I have been running ever since." Rian listened quietly. He understood what it meant to escape war and carry its shadows. "So coming to Helios 3, he said slowly. Syra nodded. "I came here because humans are seen as weak, overlooked, small. This world was quiet, forgotten. I believed it would be safe." Ryan wasn't sure whether to be insulted or honored, but he understood the logic and the device. He asked. "It was supposed to stay dormant," Syra whispered, "but its memory awoke in my grief. I have been dreaming of my home, of what I lost." And the device responded to my emotions. It sent out a signal, a beacon. A beacon that can be tracked, Rian finished. Yes. By now, the colony lights were in sight. Alarm sirens flickered, signaling emergency readiness. Drones rose from the defense towers, scanning the sky. Soldiers rushed out of barracks, receiving orders. The peaceful frontier settlement was already transforming into a fortified outpost. Rian and Syra entered through the main gate. Commander Lysera, a sharp-eyed woman with calm authority, approached immediately. Captain Hale, Lady Syra. The sky sensors detected a high-energy light projection. What happened? Ryan nodded toward Syra. Syra stepped forward, standing tall though her voice was soft. I must speak the truth now. The Praetorian warlords have found me. If they come, they will not harm only me. They will destroy this colony to erase any witness of my existence. A silence fell around them. Lysara's expression hardened. How much time do we have? Syra looked at the stars. The same stars where streaks of faint movement had begun to appear, barely visible like dust drifting across the night. Not long, she whispered. Hours, perhaps less. Ryan felt his pulse steady, not with fear but with focus. Humans had fought impossible wars before, and they had survived. What do they want with you? Lysera asked. Syra touched her chest over her heart. My bloodline carries a secret, she said. Not money, not weapons, knowledge. A vault of ancient starborn science that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. My husband died protecting it. I have spent years making sure it stays hidden. Ryan understood now why the enemy would not stop. This was not just revenge. This was control. You came here to hide, Ryan said. But now hiding is no longer an option. Syra looked at him. Her eyes filled with sorrow and something else. Resolve. No, it is not. A low, distant roar shook the air, like thunder across metal skies. Everyone looked upward. Tiny, shimmering trails streaked across the atmosphere, ships entering at high velocity. Too fast for transport. Too many for scouts. The first shadow of the enemy crossed the moonlight. Rian inhaled. Slow and steady. So this is how it begins. Syra turned her gaze to him, silver eyes reflecting firelight from the incoming ships. You do not have to fight for me, she said quietly. Rian gave a faint, tired half-smile. We're humans, he said. We don't let anyone decide who we are, and we don't abandon people who stand with us. For the first time since she arrived on Helios 3, Sarah looked like she believed she was not alone. The colony sirens wailed, shields powered up, soldiers took positions. The peaceful night was over. The battle for the widow's secret was about to begin. The warning sirens echoed across Helios 3, turning the quiet colony into a fortress preparing for its first real war. The ground vibrated lightly as emergency generators powered up, sending energy into the dome shields that protected the settlement. Lights flickered on defense turrets mounted along the perimeter, and watch drones swarmed into the sky like small silver birds. The colonists, farmers, miners, children, and old veterans moved quickly into underground shelters. Everyone had practiced this drill many times, but never had they believed the danger would be real. Captain Ryan Hale stood with his squad on the high barricade wall, watching the dark horizon. The faint glowing streaks in the upper atmosphere had grown brighter, incoming ships, falling like burning meteors. Beside him stood Syra Valiran, her silver eyes fixed on the sky. She looked calm, but her hands trembled ever so slightly. Ryan noticed, though he said nothing. Commander Lysera approached, her voice steady despite the tension. Captain, we detected 3 enemy ships entering lower orbit, 1 larger vessel and 2 escort craft. Pattern suggests a scouting force. Ryan nodded. They want information first. They'll test our defenses. Syra's voice was soft but clear. They underestimate humanity. They always have. Ryan looked at her. Then they're about to learn. The sky suddenly split with a loud crackling sound as the enemy ships broke through the atmosphere. The largest of them descended slowly, hovering like a dark, angular predator. It had no smooth curves, only sharp plates and heavy armor. It looked less like a ship and more like a weapon designed for the sole purpose of war. The 2 smaller escort ships circled it, scanning the land. Rian felt the familiar calm that came before battle settle into his chest. The old instincts from past wars returned, the steady breathing, the sharp focus, the awareness of every motion. Commander Lysera raised her hand. Hold fire! Let them reveal their intent. The colony's shields shimmered faintly in the moonlight. covering the settlement with a protective dome. A deep, booming voice suddenly echoed through the air, amplified by alien technology. It did not speak any human language, but Syra understood it. The voice said, "House Velerin, widow of the fallen throne, reveal yourself." Syra exhaled. Her shoulders lowered slightly as if something heavy pressed on them. Ryan stepped closer. "We do not have to answer," Syra shook her head. "If I do not, they will strike immediately." She walked to the front of the barricade, standing tall, her silver hair lifting slightly in the evening wind. She spoke in her old language, her voice strong, steady, noble. "I am Syra Velerin, last of the Star Throne. I stand under the protection of the children of Earth." The sky went silent. Then the voice returned, colder. "Your protection will die with you." The ships moved. The first attack came fast. One of the escort craft fired a beam of crackling blue plasma toward the colony shield. The shield flared bright white, absorbing the energy, but the impact shook the ground and made the air tremble. Commander Lysera raised her hand. "Return fire." Artillery cannons on the barricade lit up the sky with streaking laser rounds. Drones launched volleys of compressed plasma bolts. The night became filled with streaks of light crossing back and forth like stars being thrown in battle. Ryan barked orders to his squad. "Focus fire on the smaller ships. Bring them down before they flank." Soldiers responded instantly. They had trained for a day like this. The smaller escort ships dodged smoothly, weaving between the laser fire with frightening agility. Their engines glowed a sickly violet, leaving trails of burning light behind them. The battle was loud, overwhelming, chaotic, yet Syra stood still, watching every movement with practiced calculation. Ryan noticed. She had seen battles like this before, many of them. Suddenly, the larger warship opened its underbelly, revealing a hatch. Something began to emerge. Ryan narrowed his eyes. Drop troops. Black armored figures, tall and broad, were descending from the ship in glowing pods. They struck the ground outside the colony like meteors, breaking soil and sending dust clouds rushing outward. "Ground assault," Lysera shouted. Ryan jumped down from the barricade and motioned to his squad. "We meet them before they reach the shield. Move." Syra was about to follow, but Ryan stopped and looked at her. "Stay near the command tower. If they find you alone, they'll send everyone after you." Syra hesitated for the first time, looking uncertain. "Ryan, if I stay hidden, people may die because of me." Ryan held her gaze. His voice was steady, not harsh, but firm. "We're humans. We protect our own. Trust us." Syra breathed in slowly, then nodded. "Then I will not run." Ryan gave a small, rare smile, then charged forward with his squad. On the battlefield, the air outside the shield was chaos. The ground assault units, tall warriors wearing black armor with glowing violet lines, advanced in formation. Their helmets had no faces, only dark glass. They did not speak. They did not shout. They moved like machines. The first warrior swung a heavy plasma blade, slicing through a drone mid-flight. Sparks scattered across the ground. Ryan's squad fired stun rounds, impact darts, pulse rifles, anything that could slow their advance. But the enemy did not fall easily. Ryan ducked under a blade swing and fired at the warrior's lower leg joint. The armor cracked. The warrior staggered. "Target the weak points," Ryan called out. "Joints, neckline." "Under the arms." His squad adjusted quickly. One of the soldiers shouted, "Captain, they're not just soldiers, they're enhanced." Ryan gritted his teeth. He had suspected it. The warlord clans always modified their warriors, flesh and steel fused into brutal perfection. The battle raged close and personal now. Dust filled the air. Plasma blades cut through stone. Rifles cracked with recoil. Heat scorched the night. Ryan moved on instinct, blocking, shooting, rolling, striking. His body remembered the war even when his mind tried to forget it. But then, a thunderous explosion shook the ground as the large warship fired again, this time directly at the colony shield. The shield flickered. It held, but barely. Commander Lysera's voice crackled through Ryan's comm unit. "The shield generator is overheating. We can't take another blast of that power." Ryan looked up. The warship was charging its cannon again. If that shot hit, the colony would fall. He opened his mouth to give an order, but Syra moved first. She stepped out from the command tower, lifting both hands. Her silver eyes glowed brightly like stars burning from inside her. The air around her shimmered, like heat distortion, but smoother alive. The warship's cannon fired. Syra's voice echoed, powerful and ancient. "I am Valiran." A wave of silver light burst outward from her, sweeping across the battlefield. It did not explode or burn. It simply bent the incoming blast like light bending through water. The cannon's energy beam curved away from the colony, shooting harmlessly into the sky. The battlefield went completely silent. The Praetorian warriors. Orion stared at Sira, breath caught in his chest. She had not used a weapon. She was the weapon. Sira lowered her hands slowly, breathing hard, exhaustion clear across her face. Her voice was soft, but it reached everyone. "This is why they want me. This is why they cannot allow me to live." Ryan looked at her, not with fear, but with realization. Sira Velarin was not just a widow. She was the last key to an ancient and lost power. And the war for Helios 3 had only just begun. The battlefield was quiet for a moment, but the calm was deceptive. The Praetorian warriors were assessing the situation. They had not expected the last heir of the Velarin Star Throne to be able to repel their strike with nothing more than her own presence. Their ships hovered like dark predators above the colony, glowing under the moonlight while ground forces regrouped, preparing to attack again. Ryan Hale tightened his grip on his rifle, scanning the dust-filled plain for movement. Around him, soldiers from the colony reorganized. Their morale had improved slightly, seeing Syra's display of power, but fear still lingered. These warriors were relentless. They did not tire. They did not retreat. Rion's mind raced, planning their next move. They could not stay exposed on the battlefield forever. They needed to push the enemy back, or retreat to defend the colony itself. Syra approached him, her silver hair glowing faintly in the remaining light. Her breathing was steady, though her chest rose and fell with exhaustion. "We cannot hold them forever," she said softly. "They have more ships, more warriors than you realize." Ryan nodded. "I know, but we can slow them down, buy time. That is all we need right now." Syra looked at him, and for a moment her ancient alien face showed something human. "Trust." "Very well," she said. "Then we fight together." Counterattack Ryan led his squad forward, moving across the open field using the scattered terrain as cover. The Praetorian warriors advanced with machine-like precision. Each strike of their plasma blades forced soldiers to dodge, roll, and fire in rapid bursts. Despite the odds, humanity's resilience was remarkable. Humans had always found ways to adapt, even in hopeless situations. The first wave of warriors fell, not because they were weak, but because Ryan's squad exploited the environment. Smoke from fires, crumbling rocks, and sudden explosions from defensive turrets disoriented the attackers. Soldiers ducked behind debris, fired plasma rounds, and coordinated with drones to cover their movements. Syra remained near the command tower, monitoring the battlefield. Her eyes glowed faintly as she reached out to the energy of the land itself. A low hum spread across the battlefield as grass, soil, and small stones moved unnaturally, forming barriers and traps that slowed the enemy's advance. The Praetorian warriors stumbled over invisible barriers, crashing into the ground with sparks flying from their armor. Ryan noticed. She's not just powerful. She's controlling the battlefield itself. The first true loss, despite their efforts, the enemy's persistence was overwhelming. One of Ryan's soldiers, a young recruit named Tess, miscalculated her step and tripped near an advancing warrior. Before Ryan could react, the Praetorian soldier raised its blade. Ryan fired his rifle, hitting the warrior's arm. Sparks flew, but it was not enough. The soldier struck Tess with the flat of the blade, knocking her to the ground. She was shaken but alive. Ryan ran to her, pulling her to cover behind a fallen rock. "Are you okay?" he shouted. I think so," she stammered. "Just a scratch." He glanced back at the advancing warriors. There were too many, and casualties would increase unless they acted quickly. He understood now. Delaying the enemy was not enough. They needed a decisive action. Syra's revelation, Zira raised her hands again, and the silver glow spread across the battlefield. She spoke softly in her old language, calling upon the energy of her lineage. A pulse of light surged outward, lifting some warriors from the ground and knocking them backward like ragdolls. Ryan was amazed. He had seen this power once before, but now he realized its full potential. Sira was not only defending, they could use her abilities to retake the battlefield. "Captain," she said, looking at him, If I focus fully, I can disable their ground units, but it will leave me vulnerable to their ships above. Ryan nodded. Then we provide cover, all of us. You hold the line, we handle the rest. Syra's eyes softened. For the first time, she smiled faintly. I trust you. Humans had always needed faith in each other during war. For centuries, that trust had saved countless lives. Now it would save theirs. The tide turned Syra concentrated. Her silver glow intensified, her presence radiating across the battlefield. The Praetorian soldiers faltered, their armor glowing under her influence as if reacting to her energy. One by one, they fell back, stunned or knocked prone. Ryan led his squad forward, firing strategically at the recovering warriors. The ground shimmered under Syra's control, creating sudden barriers of soil and energy that threw the enemy into confusion. Drones coordinated with the soldiers, picking off isolated targets. Commander Lysara directed defensive turrets to focus on the larger ship, firing continuous streams of plasma and laser energy. Sparks and beams collided with the alien hull, leaving streaks of damage across its armor. The enemy's ground assault slowed dramatically. What had seemed unstoppable moments ago was now faltering. Humanity, with their courage, adaptability, and the mysterious power of Syra, had leveled the battlefield. A moment of reflection as the enemy retreated temporarily. Ryan and Syra regrouped behind a protective ridge. The air smelled of scorched earth and ionized energy. Some of Ryan's soldiers sat against rocks, catching their breath, while others checked equipment. Ryan turned to Syra. You didn't have to do that alone. Syra shook her head. It is not just my fight. It is everyone's fight now. If my secret falls into their hands, the galaxy will lose balance. I cannot let that happen, Ryan nodded. Then we fight together. Always. There was a silence between them. Not awkward, but profound. Both understood the stakes. Their lives, the colony, and the galaxy itself depended on what came next. The enemy regroups, but the victory was temporary. Above, the dark warship hovered, recalibrating its weapons. Smaller escort craft zipped back and forth, searching for weak points. The Praetorian warriors had retreated, but they were not gone. Ryan watched the sky carefully. They'll be back, he said. Stronger this time. Syra's silver eyes glinted. Then we prepare. This night is only the beginning. We cannot predict their every move, but we can adapt. We can survive. Ryan smiled faintly. Humans had always survived. Against impossible odds, they had always found a way. Now, with Syra's secret and her strength, perhaps they could even win. Commander Lysara approached them. We need to repair the shield and prepare defensive positions. Supplies are low, and we'll need to anticipate another strike soon. Ryan and Syra nodded. They moved together, side by side, coordinating with the humans around them. The soldiers trusted Syra now, not fully, but enough to follow her guidance in battle. A new understanding. Later, as the temporary calm settled over the colony, Ryan found Syra on the observation hill once again. The moonlight caught her silver hair, and she gazed at the stars with the same distant look he had seen before. I saw it tonight, Ryan said softly, stepping beside her. Your strength, your connection to your people. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Syra turned her eyes to him, and this time there was no sadness. There was resolve. I am what remains, she said. But I am not alone. Not anymore, Ryan nodded. Humanity will stand with you. Whatever comes next, we will face it together. She smiled faintly, a ghost of hope shining in her silver eyes. For the first time since arriving on Helios 3, she felt the weight of her loneliness ease. The night's end. And beginning. The sky was still streaked with distant trails of retreating ships, faint sparks of energy that marked the enemy's temporary withdrawal. Soldiers repaired barricades, drones scanned the horizon, and the colony slowly returned to a tense watchfulness. But Ryan knew the real battle was only beginning. The Praetorian warlords would not forget tonight. They would return in larger numbers, and they would not stop until Syra's secret was in their hands or she was gone forever. Yet for the first time, hope was not absent. Together, humans and Syra could adapt, survive, and maybe even change the course of events. The galaxy was vast, filled with power and danger, but the courage of humanity, combined with the last air of a fallen empire, had proven that even the darkest night could be turned into light. Ryan and Syra stood side by side looking at the stars. Above them, the twin moons reflected silver light onto the valley below. The wind whispered through the grass, soft and steady, carrying a promise a promise that humanity, and the widow's secret, would endure.